Hello there, my name is Bruce Rain from Breakers Creations, and I get rid of the Macintosh thing because even though it is still March and it is Macintosh, I'm not working on a Macintosh today, so I know that's a bit naughty in Macintosh to not be working on a Macintosh, but it comes down to the need, I guess. I hope everyone can hear me. Yes, good. I appear to have audio. I kind of came down here ready, for the stream like about 10 seconds before I had to go live, so it was a little bit of a hassle and whatnot. So I am going to say hello to Sean from Action Retro. I am going to say hello to Jay from the House of Moth, Mike from Mike's Mac Shack, Sad Mac 356, Shady Robot, Marchie Pad. I like that. So I have, as usual, an extremely messy desk here, so I'm going to have to start off. The beginning of this stream will be me just tidying it up a little bit, just so that I have some room to work. I'm just going to tell you a little bit of a story as to, or a little bit of a background as to what's going on here today. So I have an iPad. It's an iPad 4, 4th gen, so pretty old. Definitely got some vintage. Hello CS Waffle. And basically it was mine. I bought it new, when it first came out, and it was a great little iPad. Then one day, I always kept it in a case. And then one day I took it out of the case for some reason. I can't even remember what. And then I just got complacent and didn't put it back in the case. I felt like a bit of an idiot. And I don't think I had a screen protector on it, or did I take the screen protector off because it was grubby and then didn't replace it? But anyhow, it was sitting on my bed once. I sat on the bed. When I sat on the bed, it made it go pa-toong, and it flew off the bed, landed face down on the floor, on a timber floor. And I picked it up, and initially it was like, oh, it's fine, there's nothing wrong with it. It came off unscathed. Wasn't I lucky? But it turned out that I wasn't that lucky, and it had actually cracked, one single crack right down the middle of the screen. Just a single crack. It was only visible from certain angles. I mean, you could kind of use it with the crack there. But anyhow, I took it to a sort of professional to replace the Digitizer. And when I went to go pick it up, the replacement Digitizer had all these tiny weeny little lines in it, little hair lines across it. And I said to them, look, these lines are awful. This is actually worse than the crack that was in it before. And Joe Williams, hello. I've already said to you, hello to you, Jay, even though you probably weren't here. But I will say hello again. And so anyhow, there was I said to the guy, look, these little hairlines are actually more noticeable than the crack that was in it before. So I'm, not at all happy with that. So anyhow, he took it back, and we had it for a while, and then eventually I got it back, and it had a nice clear Digitizer, and everything was fine. However, I then started having some issues with the Digitizer. It was actually just not working at all. I mean, you just couldn't, you moved your hand on it, and it just wasn't registering that at all. And I was kind of like, this is stuff. But I thought, you know what? I've been doing enough of my own repairs lately. Let's have a look inside. This is many years ago, of course. Opened it up, and the flex cable of the Digitizer had been squashed. And it was really, really badly put together for the person who did the previous replacement. So I fixed that up and got it all, it was all then working, and everything was good. And my mother has been using it now for several years. She pretty much just uses it to play solitaire and other little games and stuff like that. And so that was, it has been what's been doing. And then she contacted me recently and just said, does the touchscreen wear out? Because she said, sometimes when I'm trying to drag cards down when I'm playing solitaire, it doesn't register. It works in some places but not in others. So I grabbed it. I brought it home. I opened up notes and just created a blank white sheet. And then I just started slowly drawing around the screen, and then noticed two very distinct areas where the Digitizer was not working. Two stripes down here. So there's like a fairly largest stripe here, and then a smaller stripe here. And so I thought, well, you know, I may as well just replace the Digitizer. It cost me like $20 to get a replacement. Steve is here, hello, and Garth is here, and Alex is here. Yeah, the flex cable was definitely flexing too far. So anyhow, I want to get this thing working again for me ma, because as I say, she just uses it for what do you call it, for solitaire and stuff like that. She doesn't need anything particularly fancy. And I think it still does that job quite well, just removing my address from this box in case I decide to show it. I was having some funky stuff going on with the upstairs camera here. Let's just have a look and see how it looks now. And we can see the mess on the table. Whoops, that's not it. There we go. Oh, that's better. It's calmed down. Before it was just like focusing in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. Okay. I'll cancel that. Yeah, so, but it seems to be more stable now, so I'm happy with that. So we're good. So anyhow, here is the replacement Digitizer. Open him up. Came with a nice little set of tools. It's great to add to my ever-growing collection of little tools that come with things. I don't even know. Oh, okay, yep, cool. Nice little bit of squishy foam. And, oops, and what have I done? Oh, I'm touching the keyboard. Let's move the keyboard, shall we? Oh, he's charging at the moment, so he needs to stay there. Incidentally, should I finish this quickly, I will probably get back to the Mac II I was working on earlier. I will actually replace that sound chip. Okay, so this is the Digitizer here. Now I must confess, I've not done one of these before, so this could be embarrassingly bad. Button, clicky button. Yep, we all like the clicky buttons. And it came with some adhesive as well, which I do like. I like it when they come with a little custom adhesive. All right. By the way, I should just mention, it's friggin' raining here again. Just been getting sick of it, you know. We had like a week or so of nice weather, and then it's just come back into like ongoing rain. Oh, I still haven't contacted that guy about his LC 575 that I was working on in the last live stream. That is unbelievably bad. I've got myself a little polymer lithium-ion battery here, which I can't just throw this in the bin. I'll have to put it here with my other batteries because they have to be disposed of responsibly. Because, you know, they have nasty, nasty, nasty chemicals in them that we don't want ending up in landfill. No, sir. Okay, so I should, of course, just remind people, if it's not too much trouble, to please
smash that like button.
Solano, hello. Which are videos for soldering helped me out when I started. Thanks again for that. You are most welcome. I am always happy to hear that when people tell me that that my soldering tips helped, because that's always the aim. I'm you know, sort of trying to get better at it myself as I go, and anything that I learn that makes it easier for me, I will try and pass on to others. One thing I will mention is that I bought some of this recently. Oh, I changed views when I did that smash the like button. I bought some of this recently. Amtech NC599V2TF. And it is my belief that I have actually ended up with some counterfeit flux. I'm going to investigate further. I'm going to contact Amtech, and I'm going to contact the seller. But I do not believe that this is Amtech flux. First of all, it's too dark. And second of all, one of the things about Amtech flux, that people may or may not be aware of this, is it glows under UV light. So I've got some UV light here. And this really is not doing much of the glowing at all. You know, so if I've got, yes, yeah. And thankfully I bought 2 tubes of it, so that's great. 2 tubes of counterfeit flux. So I am going to, as I say, I'm going to get in touch with Amtech. I'm going to put a link to the seller, to them, and ask them, is this a legitimate seller? Do you know that they are selling your product? And just see what they have to say, because yeah, it's pretty disappointing. So this is an old tube. I mean, even with this old tube here, you can actually you can see the leftover flux that's just squeezed around the side here. You probably can't see it terribly well, but you can see it glowing. You compare it to this, and well, I'll get this one here, and it ain't glowing at all. So that's one of the things that I'll be telling Amtech about this, and because it smells different. It's not actually a particularly bad flux. It's probably comparable to the backup flux that I use in case I ever have any trouble getting hold of the Amtech stuff, but I do not believe that it is Amtech. Okay, and I will expose these people for the criminals that they might be. Let's just check the chat here. Nicholas Brenter. It does glow. Oh crap, I'm going to check mine right now. It's actually a really handy thing. It might seem kind of, why on earth would flux glow? That's stupid. But if you're cleaning a board and you can just hit it with a bit of UV light, if you see it glowing, you know you haven't got all the flux off. So I can use it if I'm, for instance, if I put something in the ultrasonic cleaner, if I've ended up with a lot of flux on there, I can go in and clean it, and I can take that board out, put it under the UV light. If I don't see anything glowing, I know I managed to get all the flux off. If I find some old boards floating around that are partway through working on them, that still have flux on them, which I'm sure I have some around here somewhere, if I find some of those, even this one here might, the one that I was just looking at then, because it hasn't been cleaned. Wait a minute. Yeah, this has got, actually this has probably got the new flux on it, so it probably won't glow, but we'll just see. We'll see. Oh yeah, you can see. Sorry about this, light isn't really designed for being used on camera, but can you see it all glowing along here? So I'll switch it off and on, and you can see the difference. Off, on, off, on. So yeah, it's a really good little check to see that you've managed to get all the flux off after cleaning. And if I go and get some of this new flux, and we'll just see what happens if I put a squidge of that on there. Squidge. There's a little bit of a glow, but no glow. That was just a reflection. No glow whatsoever. So yeah, it is not the real deal. Oh, I just got a super chat. Guff Beagle. Watching. There you go. Thank you very much. I'm glad you learned. That's good. It is not. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to sound preachy or anything like that. I hope that's that's not what happens. But okay. So who's turned up? Patrick is here. Hello, Patrick. And who else have I? Jared. Hello. Who else have we got? Yeah, I think everyone's here. Nicholas, did I say hello to you? No. But now I did. Hello, Nicholas. I watched that new Spider-Man film last night. The one with Spider-Man in it. And Spider-Man. So anyhow, thank you very much, Garth. That is very, very generous of you. I do appreciate it. Shaheim Thomas, night. It's morning here. Actually, it is still morning for another 15 minutes. DJ Craze. Yep. So anyhow, this live stream. There are a couple of things working against this live stream, and I thank everyone here who is watching. The first thing is that I really did no prep or no real sort of advertising. I didn't really share the link anywhere, so it'll just be a matter of if people got the YouTube notifications. And the other is I'm not working on vintage Macs, though I may well at the end of this. Don, hello. What Gen iPad is this? This is a Gen 4. GT is here. This is a Gen 4. So we're talking about quite an old iPad. And this one has got some mileage on it. I really should have bought a replacement battery while I've got the thing being pulled apart. And if I were a smarter man, I would have done that. But alas, I'm not. Okay, so let's get this iPad free of its little cagey thing. Oh, look at that. You can see my camera. Can you see my upstairs camera there? Hey, hello, camera. It's attached to the roof of the shed. The roof. And it's sort of riveted in there. And then we've got a little, then it has a tripod head on it so that I can move it if I need to. I am going to actually put a new bracket up there. I'm going to weld something that's a little bit better because now that I can weld. John Bailey, hello. about to recap. Good on you, John, and thank you very much for that. So yes, it's always a good day for recapping. Got my old JB Weld here. I need to put that away. Don't need that today. Well, I hope I don't need it today. I'm telling you what, if I need JB Weld for replacing a Digitizer, I've definitely done something wrong, haven't I? Okay, I've got a container here somewhere, a bag somewhere here, full of all the goop. Here we are. This is a bag full of goop that I have here. It's tubes of stuff. And within here we have things like no lid. This is grease. I've got thermal paste. I've got... now, this is interesting. You know, I was talking about the different fluxes. The flux that I got, which is, you know, pretending to be Amtech, is quite similar to this. And this is, I think, made by Interflux, something like that. Yeah, Interflux. And this is still a good flux, don't get me wrong, but it's no Amtech. Look at this chip quick goo. Goodness me, that's old. JB Weld. Araldite, got to have Araldite. Everyone needs Araldite. And somewhere around here, I've got Arctic Silver as well. But anyhow, end up with lots and lots and lots of tubes of goo. And that is my little bag of goo for there. And it's now got the JB Weld in it. So that was me just making conversation while I tidied my desk. So, right, now I am, here it is. It's the Arctic Silver, Arctic. So this is the stuff, the thermal paste that you use for a CPU. So this is the good stuff. I should have put that back in the bag, but I'm not getting that bag out again. No, sir. Okay, so so when I started having some trouble with this, I actually bought myself a new iPad, and I think it was an iPad Air Revision 2. That rings a bell. I think that's what it was. And that has now become my recipe iPad. So I have an application on that called, I think it's called Recipe Keeper. And that just stays in the kitchen. And when I'm doing cooking, I just bring up that recipe thing. And the recipe thing is really, really handy because it's synchronized with all my devices. So it's synchronized with my computer, with my iPad, with my phone. So if I find a recipe online while I'm working on the computer, I can then just go in and add it to the recipe keeper. And more importantly, if I happen to be out shopping and I'm thinking, you know what I want for dinner tonight? I want that. I can then bring up that recipe on my phone and see all the ingredients I'm going to need to make it, and then I can sort of just buy them while I'm out and about. So you know, it's good for that sort of spur of the moment stuff. So anyhow, I highly recommend if anyone out there likes a bit of cooking like I do. Getting something like that is quite handy. I used to just have all my recipes on pieces of paper, but I've just been gradually transferring them all, digitizing them. Gosh, I really have got to go. It's 2 o'clock night time in Germany. Oh dear. Okay, well thank you for joining, Solano. Sleep well. Right. All right. Okay, so. And I now have an even newer iPad, and it is a... I can't remember what it is, but I'm very happy with it. It's very fast. And I also have an iPad Pro that I got recently, which of course I like to remind some people about, that it was firmware locked and I managed to fix it. So that's another story for another time. All right, now I'm going to need an iFixit guide because I want to make sure I do this properly. I think it will come apart quite easily. Why did I just turn the soldering iron on? Let's hope I don't need the soldering iron for this. I'm going to need the iFixit guide because I am not so sort of proficient at this that I will just remember it off by heart. So let's grab iFixit, ifixit.com. Very good little website. Of course, if anyone hasn't discovered it, I'd be very surprised. I mean, most people know of the iFixit website. And just keeping in mind that it's not just for Macs. There are actually some guides for pulling apart all sorts of things on there. I would love it if there were even more. I would love it if there was a guide for like every single white good out there. I'm someone who is very, very passionate about keeping things going as long as they can. Now, within reason. For example, we have a great big clunky old air conditioner in our house, and it still works. But it chews so much electricity that it's actually not a particularly environmentally friendly thing to keep using it. We replaced it with a newer air conditioner, which cools far more efficiently and uses far less electricity. And it was something we noticed quite quickly on our electricity bill when we replaced that air conditioner. But there are some things, like, for example, we're talking about a washing machine or a dishwasher. So I, for example, have a Bosch dishwasher. And it's one that is quite water efficient because it actually uses the water from the final rinse cycle. It stores it for the next load to use that as the pre-rinse for the following load. So it actually is incredibly water efficient. So, you know, by actually reusing that, you know, cleanish water from the end to then use it at the beginning. So, and I had some problems with my dishwasher, and I, you know, wanted to keep it going. And same with an oven. I've got oven in there. Had problems with that. Had a relay in there, and the relay was stuck on, which meant one of the heating elements just stayed on no matter what. It stayed on the moment the oven was switched on, and it wasn't even a matter of changing the setting on the front dial. And that was just replacing a relay. And so I do work to try and keep these sorts of things going. And it would just be fantastic if there were just guides for every single one of these items, but alas, there are not. So, okay, I've been just chatting here and not really paying attention to the chat, so I apologise for that. I'm going to go back and have a look here. I had a nuclear battery moment. Oh dear, John. So I'm practicing on that while all the parts for Mac Classic 2 arrive. Need to watch more of your vids in prep. Well, there are plenty more coming. I hope. Yeah, so I assume your 475, you're basically just treating that as a practice machine. You're not trying to repair it or anything, I'm guessing. And so that's great. That's a great tactic to go in and use that. Just keep in mind, one of the things I always say when it comes to soldering, if the solder is not doing what you want it to do, the cause is either not enough heat, not enough flux, or what you're trying to solder to is dirty and needs cleaning. Basically, you get those three things sort of sorted out, and solder will generally do what you want it to do. Yeah, and I can tell you what, if I do need a soldering iron, it won't be this great big one. I'll be looking for something smaller. Hello, pigeon. The pigeon just rocked in. What was that? Goodness me, I felt like someone touched my leg. I think a wire fell down. Right, okay, so let's go in and have a look here. I might just see if I can share my screen here for a moment. Let's go to here, because then you can actually see what I'm doing while I'm doing it. Because I can do this, I think. I have the tools. I have the technology. Let's go screen. Oh. There we go. I think, can you see it? Can you see that? Can you see that? I think you can. Okay, so let's go iPad. Oh, I should probably go iPad. Oh, look at this. No, it's Air 4. That's not what I want. iPad 4. Okay, iPad 4. There we go. And this is the Wi-Fi. And these are replacement guides. Front panel. There we go. All right. Difficult. 49 steps. How do you say about that? That's an ode to my my good friend who passed away, Chris. That was one of his favourite little sayings that he would say to people just to confuse them. He'd say, how do you say about that? How do you respond to that? Right, so we're going to heat up the sides and we're going to pry it off. We've been here before. I imagine this one will probably come off a lot easier because it has been removed before. So I'm not expecting too many problems with this. So this whole first section is them just saying warm it up and then lift it off and saying wear safety glasses, which I will not do, but I can understand why you would want to do that. So it's doing it from the right-hand side first. So it's doing the right edge first. Let us now go back here to top view. Cancel that. All right, so Put iPad in microwave. Can you imagine? Okay, so Justin is here. Hello, Justin. Adam McGee is here. Hello. Right, so I'll just better check see if this thing's switched off, and it's not. So let's switch it off. It's always a good first step is to actually switch it off. Slide to power off. I have slid. Slidded. They're an amazing thing, you know. It's interesting. The iPad cops a lot of flack, you know, from people about, you know, it's a kind of nothing device. You know, you have your phone or you have your laptop. Your iPad doesn't really fit in anywhere, and I guess for a lot of people that is the case. But for me, I actually find the iPad really useful for browsing the web and stuff. Mainly browsing the web and watching movies and stuff like that. It's if I'm watching shows that say my wife doesn't watch, I tend to watch them on the iPad. I initially bought an iPad many years ago, an actual iPad 1 when they first came out. I resisted for a while, but then I ended up buying one because I'm a web developer, and I had people saying to me, will this website work on an iPad? And I'm like, probably. So I thought I'd better go and get an iPad to test. So I did. I went and got that iPad, and just completely totally changed my life. I mean, I used that iPad a lot. This has got a screen protector on it. I'm going to leave it here. This will hopefully help protect against any potential cracks and stuff like that. Should I crack it, it'll help hold it together. Is this the one you changed the battery in? No, that was an iPad Pro. So that was a first gen iPad Pro, 12.9 inch one. And that has now become my spare iPad, I guess. I quite like it. I mean, I like the big screen. It's not for all purposes because it is quite kind of bulky. But yeah, I use that one quite a bit. The only thing I don't like about it is I've got a case that sucks on it. I need to buy a new case, but they're not cheap. Right, so I've got my hot air station here. I'm going to lower the temp on this. It's currently at soldering temp, and that's probably a little bit too much. So I'm going to drop the temp down to, I don't know, probably maybe 300 degrees C. I mean, that still seems excessive, but it's not like I'm going to leave it sitting there. Come on. There we go. So it's not like I'm going to just leave it sitting there. I'm basically just going to be running this backwards and forwards along the edge here, trying to get that adhesive softened up. And just mentioning again, if anyone has just joined, I am fairly confident this will come off reasonably easily because this screen has been off before a couple of times. So it could have my dodgy adhesive work inside there when we open it up, we'll see. You want to melt the adhesive, not the iPad. Yeah, ideally. The case with the keyboard and trackpad from Apple is expensive, but great. Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see the appeal in having you know, sort of the keyboard there. It does kind of bulk it up as a device, though. You know, it becomes a little bit heavy. What temp is it running at? That temp is it's on 300 degrees C at the moment. But as you can see, I'm keeping it moving fairly swiftly. I can get out the old everyone loves the thing, the heaty thingy, and we can see the effect we are having on it. If I can find the thing, I've recharged it recently, and I've put it away. It's my Fleur. Anyone who was just wondering what I was jabbering on about, the Fleur, which is the thermal camera. Hey, geez, I finally got the words out. Gosh. Thermal camera. It lives over there, but I don't think it's there at the moment. So I'm just going to see if I can find it. By the way, did I mention that I like to use Kai Wheat's KM601 multimeters? Yes, sirree, I do. Fantastic budget. I can't find it. Fantastic budget multimeter. If anyone is in the market for one, you will find a link in the description that will take you to where you can buy them for a very reasonable price. So, yeah. Make it Kai Wheats. I can't find the thermal camera, so stuff it. Retro Techie is here. Hello. So one of the things in my last live stream, I spent a bit of time working on a Mac II that was giving me grief. I think it was that one. It might have been the live stream before. But anyhow, in that live stream, I was taking thermal photos of the board that wasn't working because some things were getting hot. And I haven't had a chance to properly analyze those photos yet. And the way I analyze it, I've got a working Mac II board. And what I tend to do is I get a thermal photo of the working board and then a thermal photo of the not working board. And then I compare them and I see, is there something that should be getting hot that isn't? And then I can potentially go and try and track that down. You Retro Repair, hello. Still pushing the Kai Wheats, eh? Yeah, I mean, look, I at no stage am I trying to make out. So here's basically the situation. I have issues with every multimeter I've ever come across. Even my my fluke pisses me off sometimes. One of the things that annoys me about the fluke is it has an auto power off, but it doesn't give you any warning that it's powering off. So you can be sitting there testing away, doing all your bloody, your continuity testing. You go beep, and beep, and beep, and beep. And you go and checking in things, and then you go in to check one, and you get no beep, and you think, oh man, here's the break, here's a break in a trace, hey. But you find out it's just gone to sleep, and that really annoys me, because it's like, you think you're onto something, and then you realise that the multimeter has just switched itself off. So, as I say, even the fluke, which I have lots of good things to say about, it pisses me off at times as well. So really, when it came to a situation where I was approached, because when you're a famous YouTuber like me, when I got approached by someone to say, hey, with Kai Wheats, we make these multimeters, would you like for us to send you one for you to do a review on? No, it wasn't that. It was just, would you like to work together? And I sort of said, what did you have in mind? Oh, God, it was here all along. The microscope was actually staring at the thermal camera. I then, I contacted them and said, would you want me to review one of your products or something? He said, yeah, no worries, that'd be great. So they sent it to me. And I was just really impressed. And I thought, I would like to be able to recommend a budget multimeter to my viewers because I've got links in there for just about everything else under the sun, but no multimeter. And of course, a multimeter is one of the most important things you're going to use. So I really wanted to be able to have a link in there to one. And then when this came along and I had an opportunity to try it out, and I was like, you know what? This is something I can recommend. So it kind of, yes, I mean, there are benefits for me in that I got the multimeter given to me by Kai Wheats. And there are affiliate links for when people buy one of these, but I'm not going to recommend something that I don't like. I would just never do that. That's not me. So I'm just firing up this Fleur. I'm going to launch the Fleur software. Fleur, and obviously this has had a chance to cool down now, so I will need to heat it up again. Oops, facing the wrong way. Okay, so plug him in. He will then go, and then when we can look at this, we can look at the iPad, and we can still see it's still holding a fair bit of residual heat down the end here. That's just that stripe across there, but it's not warm enough. We've got to warm it up some more. So anyhow, I just thought I'd get that out so people could see that this thing is getting warm. Are you a clip-on lenses custom or an Amazon purchase? Now these, I don't know if you guys have it over there, but there's a shop called Daiso, D-A-I-S-O, and they sell cheap Japanese stuff. And these came from there. And I bought a whole stack of them, and they break, unfortunately. They're not particularly well made. They're just plastic, and they're not stuck on here very well. That's why there's all this goop on here. But the little sort of flip uppiness is really, really convenient, because these are, I think, 3 times magnification. So they give me an opportunity to really see stuff up nice and close, sort of that in between. You have that in parts of the US. Okay, cool. So Rudy is here. Hello, Rudy. Welcome to the stream. And I got the stylish blue case. Yes, that's awesome. So anyhow, I don't know if Daiso still carry these. The last time I went to go get some more, they didn't have them, but I did find them elsewhere and bought them, and they were only a few dollars each. So, and I probably need to get some more because they keep breaking. All right, so let's continue here. Well, let's start. I mean, I'm just really going so slow today. Quick mention, Mac 84, Steve from Mac 84. I don't know if he is still here in the chat, but if he is, would you like to put a link into the video that you released? I think it was earlier today. Steve got a pretty decent e-waste haul. Now, it's not all his stuff. Some of it belongs to someone else. But I tell you what, with some of the things that he picked up, he got an Apple II Plus. You don't come across an Apple II Plus very often. Apple IIe, sure. Apple II Plus, not so much. So he got an Apple II Plus. He got a duo disk drive for the Apple IIe. He also got an Apple IIe. He got 2 Apple II monitors, the ones that are the pivoty front thing. Just some really cool stuff. So anyhow, there's a video of him and everything that he had in the back of his car from that place. So, you know, if you get a chance, maybe later on, go and check out that video. Steve, feel free to put a link in there. It's not a super long video or anything like that, but you know, it's good bit of fun. So go and check that. I was super impressed with his haul. I was also extremely jealous, and frustrates me that I live so far away from him, because I would have just been going in there and trying to grab some of it without him looking. No, I'm joking, of course. I have 2 of these and I can't find one. Anyhow, so this is a little suctiony cuppy thingy. I do have this one here. It's garbage. I'm just going to see if I can prise it apart a little. Yeah, that's coming. So I'm going to do something here that everyone says don't do that, but I'm going to do it anyway. Yeah, she's coming. As I expected with this, because this has been opened before, this adhesive is releasing quite well. Come on, get in there. So I have a mouse problem in here. Something that started reasonably recently. I have had a mouse problem before. And part of me would just like to kind of live and let live, you know? Just let the Mises stay in here. But the problem I have is that they do like to eat wires. So I really can't let them stay alive here, unfortunately. I have to dispatch them, which I feel pretty bad about, but, you know, what are you going to do? They are an introduced animal, these little Mises, so it's not like they're a native animal in this country, so they're not really meant to be here anyway. We do have some native micey things, but these ones are just your average everyday ones. I'm going to run a little bit more heat here. It's getting a little bit hard for me to do this part. Time to get a pet mongoose. I have a couple of cats, but they're indoors. They're indoor cats. They don't come out here. Mouse. There's a little bit of an inside joke. It's something that predates my joining of the MacCat group. And that's why Jay has gone mouse. I can hear him saying it. I should also mention I got a G3 blue and white the other day, a G3 tower. Interestingly enough, I haven't owned one since, I don't know, probably about, I'd be able to tell you actually, because I have photos of the last one I owned. And I gave it away just, you know, because it's part of that whole thing that we all end up with these old computers. You don't think you're going to want them anymore. They take up a lot of space. You know, why would I need that? And of course, the truth is you don't need it. But, you know, as we get older and we get nostalgic, there we go. So that, my friends, is the Digitizer. Just like that. These are probably meant to not be stuck to the screen. These look like little magnets, and I think they're meant to be there. I could be wrong, but I'm going to remove them. There we go. Yeah, I think they're meant to go there. There we go. All right, so blue and white, yeah. So, you know, it's funny because blue and whites, the place where I worked at the time, which is in a sort of pre-press and design studio, we pretty much went from the clones, to G3s. So we used to have all the beige Macs and all that sort of stuff, and then we went and got a whole stack of UMacs and power computing and Super Mac and all that sort of stuff. And we ran entirely on clones. And it was kind of funny because it was a clear indication that clones were not a good idea for Apple, because they were losing their own customers to these clones rather than actually expanding the market, the idea being to expand the market. I had someone disagree with me on that once, and that's fine, they're allowed to, but at the end of the day, I think it was a pretty poor idea with the clone side of things. I guess the one advantage is that clone makers were making very powerful machines, probably more powerful than what Apple were making, with lots of expandability and stuff like that. So anyhow, we, in this company, we just had clones all over the place. Now, once those clones had outlived their usefulness, the next step we had was going to G3s. And so the next computers we got a couple of iMacs, and we got a few of the G3 towers as well. Now, one of the really nice things about the G3 tower was that they were kind of helping us with the transition by leaving us with one little ADB port on the back. So that was very nice of them. Now, I've been trying out this G3 blue and white. I would love to do a live stream on it, but it's just so big, it's too big to bring down here, and I don't really have anywhere else properly set up to do videos at this time. It's the first generation blue and white G3, which has a very, very crappy sort of ATA, you know, IDE sort of controller. But thankfully, I found in my container of stuff, I found a PCI Ultra ATA 66 in there with two connectors. And so anyhow, I've installed that in there, and I've now got an IDE adapter to an SATA, and then I've got a little SSD, 80 gig SSD inside it. So I've installed 10.2 Jaguar and 9.22 on it, and it's working beautifully at the moment, except I'm having problems with Ethernet. And so I'm going to see if I can fix that up a little bit later today. If I can't do that, I think I have a PCI Ethernet card floating around somewhere, so I'll probably do that. Directly responsible for my productiveness tonight. As long as you're streaming, I shall be doing repairs. Okay, I see. So I guess that means Jay would like me to stream for a long time. Right, so we've got this off. We now need to get this out. And I'm going to just jump across onto the old iFixit. See how many steps I've gone through by taking that off. 1450. Oh, what's this say? The Wi-Fi antenna is attached to the bottom right edge of the rear case. Oh, okay, hang on. Is the screen off yet? Next few steps require extreme caution. Ooh. Ooh. We're down here. Wi-Fi antenna is attached to the bottom right edge of the rear case of the iPad via screws and a cable. Oh yeah, I see. Because of the orientation of the Wi-Fi antenna, it is imperative to proceed with caution, otherwise irreversible damage to the Wi-Fi antenna may result. We wouldn't want that. No irreversible damage for me, please. Okay, so step 16, step 17, step 18, step 19, step 20, 21, 22, 23. So I skipped a lot of steps by getting the screen off. Okay, front panel assembly. We're up to step 28. So taking that screen off, in iFixit's minds, taking that screen off is 27 steps. So, yeah. Anyhow, let's just check and make sure here. I'm still vacuuming up glass shards. I tell you, the worst thing in the world is when you're replacing a screen that is already cracked. There is just no way. I mean, you have to tape the whole thing up, which I've done before, but they just crack more and more and more and more. Has anyone ever seen a through-hole fuse component on an SE30? A through-hole is in like an axial fuse? Yeah. Yeah, I have. They typically use these if I've got one floating around. Ah. They're the earlier ones. They're definitely the earlier ones. They use a thing called a pico fuse. I do have them around here somewhere if I can find them. This is my miscellaneous electronics. I don't know where my pico fuses are. They might have fallen off the back. Geez, I hope they didn't fall in the bin. Here's one. I found one. I mean, I have a lot more than one, but that's a pico fuse there. Now, SE30, I think so, I'm not sure. But anyhow, they would be looking a little bit like that, or perhaps yellow. Like a little yellow, plastic yellow cylinder. But there are lots of different versions of the SE30, so you're likely to find all sorts of things. So, but anyhow, you can, for the 3 fuses, yeah. So anyhow, the earlier versions, they would have something like this, a little pico fuse, and then the later ones use those flat, rectangular metal things. Now, the really important things about them, they are a thing called a self-healing fuse. So they blow, but then they fix themselves afterwards. So, when people have those and they're checking the fuses, I sort of feel inclined to say, don't bother checking it, it'll be fine, trust me. But it doesn't mean you don't have a problem. Joe is here. Hello, Joe. I watched a little bit of your stream today, but I didn't get a chance to watch too much, unfortunately, because I was prepping for my own stream. I do apologise, but this was the only time I was going to get to stream this weekend, because I was working all day yesterday. Right, we are going to start pulling things apart, which means I need a little container to put screws in. Let's find one. Oh, look at that. Okay, hopefully this is enough little compartments. Hopefully. Right, so what do we need? We need, he's that way around. So we've got, remove the 4 2mm Phillips 00 screws. Let's find a Phillips 00 driver. What about that one? Oh, that one. What do you got? That's a pentaload, that's no use to me. That's a Phillips 000. Works rather well. There's uno, duo, tres, cuatro. Right, I've got my 4 screws there. Whoopsie. Carthor, hello. Checking things, just checking things. Yeah, no, I quite understand. I mean, one of the things that happens actually when I'm doing these live streams, I'm often thinking about what I'm going to work on next. And even just talking about that blue and white G3 that I've got to go in and repair the, get the Ethernet sorted out. Okay, so we're going to lift this little fella up like this. And I assume we're going to have to disconnect him somewhere. Oh, look at that. We've got ourselves a little, I should read the instructions, shouldn't I? Use the tip of a spudger, peel back the piece of tape covering the LCD ribbon cable connector. Oh, look at you, little piece of tape. I am not going to use a spudger. I'm going to use metal tweezers. Bad idea, folks. Do not do what I'm doing. Because metal is conductive. And we do not want to create a short. Shouldn't I disconnect the battery on this thing at some stage? Where is the battery connected? Is that it there? Shouldn't I be removing the battery? Or maybe they just don't deem it necessary for a... God, there's a lot of steps. What the hey? Let's find something plastic, seeing as we are basically I'm just setting myself up for failure if I do that. Hey, got it. Okay, let's move that somewhere. And then this, look at that, that's my tape there. Okay, and then I might just remove this and whip this out. Okay, so I have freed the digitizer. Now I did not do that as per the instructions provided by iFixit because their instructions look stupid. You just gotta just deal with those sorts of things when they happen, Adam. You know, when people put their put stickers on things. I know how frustrating it is, but now this is interesting. This has got a metal thing. How does that work? Oh, okay. There's he. Oh, there's a very upset doggy somewhere. There we go. There we go. So that's got to go there. Ta-da. So there's the digitizer. Is that there? How is that stuck on? Huh? Home button. Is the home button just stuck on with adhesive? I guess it must be. There's no other way. There's no screw holes in it or anything. Yep. Sure is. Sorry about going quiet here. I'm doing a bit of the old concentration. Okay, home button. Yeah, that adhesive seems to be sticking quite well. Oops. And then that needs to go right in the middle. Right there. And I assume this is going to get some support from underneath when it's put together. Poor old Joe. I feel sorry for Joe. He's never going to live down the whole thingamaboob thing. For anyone who missed that, you know, you've got to go back and watch it. He's probably trying to forget it, and I won't let him. And I apologise for that. Yeah. Ooh, overclocked LC575 speed 44.5. I made shirts. Okay, so there will be no forgetting it now. Thingamaboob. I'm going to make some badges, or buttons as Americans refer to them. You know, I've got a little badge maker. I've been making silly little ones. Oh, look at this. Look at this. I got to click this. I need to see this. Exquisite, as they say. All the young people of today say, "Ha ha, thingamaboob!" And look, he's done it in old sort of what that's like old pixelated sort of 8-bit micro font. Awesome, I love it. Can you wear that in public? I don't know. It could be trouble. Okay, careful with the home button, ribbon cable, front panel. Yeah, I've done that. I've done that. I've done that. Oh, finished. Sorry, I was just reading step 48. I've just done that. I've just finished. So now I have to go and do everything in reverse. So. What I will just mention about this very quickly, I just better jump back here and see that I'm actually able to show you what, because I'm looking at a web page, not looking at what I'm broadcasting. So this is the Digitizer here, and this cable here got really badly mauled when it got put together by the professionals, inverted commas, that replaced it originally. This was all kinked up and stuff like that, and I got it working again, but obviously it's now not working properly, and I can actually see the faint lines on this Digitizer. The little faint lines not running that way. Okay, so that is our old screen. It is not cracked, so that's great, but the Digitizer does not work properly. It could have just been a cable, who knows, but it could be a problem associated with here, because it wasn't working in stripes. It's probably some sort of problem either with, as I say, either with, one of these things not making proper contact, or a problem along the edge here or something like that. So that's done. Now, we have to move to the assembly part of things, of proceedings. Anything you like that isn't pornographic, protected speech, except on an airplane or in someone else's business. Did it do? It was only classic because of the guests. Dear. Wouldn't it be great? You know what you should do, Joe? Buy one of those shirts and send it to Kate. I'm sure she'll appreciate the humour. I mention that because Kate was the guest on the show when Joe said that. Okay, so we're going to put this back together again, and that involves, first of all, connecting the home button into the little slot thingy, what's-he thingy, and that's a little bit tricky, but I've done tricky before, so I'm confident. Yeah. Okay, he's in. Now he's in all the way. Yay! You know the worst part of this? Anyone who's ever done this will appreciate this. Is when you do a replacement, and this is the same on the old iMacs as well, when you lift the glass off and you do a repair and then you put it all back together and you find a hair in there or a great big fleck of dust. Very frustrating. Right, now let's get this and feed that into these little switchies. Come on. Come on. Come on, man. Here we go. Here we go. Okay. I think we're in as far as we're going to get. Using metal again, like some sort of idiot. Right, now we need the LCD screen. And for that, we go there, and we go into there. Sorry, you're probably just looking at my head at the moment. Look how red it is. It's not really that red, I think it's just the colour from the camera making it appear red, because my head's really not that red. But you've only got my word for it, don't you? Put a piece of tape down there. Now, what we're going to do before we start sticking any adhesive on, we're going to test it. Where is that digitizer meant to go? That little bit? It's got nowhere to go. Sorry, the cable. I guess. Boo. Boo. Right, gonna test it? Shall we test it? I think I'll need to take this off in order to test properly. Switch him on. Okay. This looks to me like it's got a protector on the other side as well. I probably need to lift that off, because it's got lines, which looks like yucky. Yes, you can see the camera in the reflection. Hello, camera. I mentioned earlier on in the stream that that's obviously the camera we're using for this view. It's a little Canon Legria thing. It's a little high-def camera. It's not a particularly good one by any stretch, but, you know. Okay, so let's try this out, shall we? Well, that's a good sign. Oops, not now. Yep, the home button works, which that's a nice thing. What did I want to do? I wanted to, oh, that's right, notes. Okay, so this was the note that I used before, and you can see these are the stripes. If we go that way. So when I was working on that one, I was drawing across it, and as you can see, we had these gaps where it wasn't working. Now, if I go in here and I'll create a new one, no note, and I want to scribble, and we can try this now. Let's go. Yeah, look at that. You know, it's very creative. You could sell that. Someone will put that on their wall, for sure. Never trust a mum that doesn't play Angry Birds. Yeah, so anyhow, this was predominantly, I think, let me just see if I can find it on here. I think Solitaire City. Yep, Solitaire City. Which I love. I actually play this Solitaire City quite a lot. And this was what really happened, is she was trying to sort of drag things around and wasn't able to grab them. So this is all good. I'm happy with this. We are now going to shut him off again. So for reassembly. 27 watching only, 20 likes. You know, it's terrible, isn't it? This is this is not my normal viewer numbers, but then again, it's not my normal subject either. So I notice, yeah, it does. It's got a protector on it, I think, which I need to remove. There it is. There. No, it isn't. Here. Where is it? Yep, it's coming. No. Here we are. Now, I've got some great big fingerprints on this. I better screw this thing back on, hadn't I? So, I only had to undo 4 screws for this. Undo. Which is kind of cool. I have to commend Apple, I think, in their repairability of this particular device. Yes, it is held on with glue, but I was pretty pleased with how easy this was. The only thing I am concerned about is this digitizer cable. It's sort of, it sticks up. And I don't know where it's meant to go. Does it fold back that way? Oh no, I just fed it down the hole. Did I just feed it down the hole? Oops, I just switched it on. Darn you, Bruce, you just switched it on. What are you doing? Okay, so now we've got to stick adhesive on, and I think the adhesive, I think for me, it would make sense for me to put the adhesive on here. Excuse me. Back off again. Slide to power off. Slide to power off. Oh. Dear. Did anyone see what I did then? Don't tell anyone. It was a little bit silly. Yep. All right. Also check the battery in coconut battery. Screen has fingerprints in it. Oh yeah, I'm not sticking it on yet, that's for sure. Great big fat Bruce fingerprints. That's yucky tissue. Need a better tissue. It's rather damp in here at the moment, unfortunately, because of all the rain that we've been having. I will end up closing some dust in here because that's just how it goes. We've all been there. Now, I've got no idea where these bits of adhesive go. Maybe this will give me some clues. Okay, so that part there goes on either side of the camera. Oh, I lost the little metal thing. I'll have to get it back. So this goes, yeah, either side of the camera. So what do people think? Do you think I just stick this on the base? Eh. Thank you. Stupid. Did you break the screen yet? I'm sorry, Mike. Disappointing you again. I don't know. Is it easier to stick it on the screen? Just not sure. Maybe. It's just hard to line up, that's all. Guess it doesn't really matter, does it? It's not particularly well lined up on this one either. I'll just stick it on the screen. I maybe should have done this before I stuck it on. But, you know. Wow. My wife is listening to something on the TV. Loud. Bruce, Jay says, test the battery before you stick it together. Why? Why, Jay? Why? I'm not going to replace it. I don't have a replacement battery. So I ask you, why? I haven't put it back together yet. Still a bit of away from that, by the looks of things. So this one, that's Nope. Is it that side? That side's the uninterrupted one. Looks it. So I'm just trying to figure out what goes where. Was it this? This side's the uninterrupted one. There's no technology there, so. I really should have stuck this adhesive on before putting the okay. So sorry folks, it didn't come with any instructions. So I'm thinking that that goes there, like that. Yeah, that looks right. Oopsie. No, that's wrong. No. Is it there then? Guess it must be. This adhesive sucks. And it's sort of a process of elimination with getting this stuff on here. It's like, can't really go anywhere else but here. Alex is back, hello. If the battery is bad, he'll just have to order the same Digitizer adhesive with a new battery. Yes, this is true. Yeah. One of the things I actually said right at the beginning of this live stream, like right bang at the beginning was that I really should have ordered a new battery with this and just replaced it. But I didn't. So, basically, you didn't miss a whole lot. I mean, I have taken this off. I am in the process now of reassembling it, but I have a fairly sort of cryptic. I mean, I've got these adhesive strips, but they don't line up. I mean, look at this. This can only go here or here. Well, it has to go there, so it means I've put that in the wrong place. But if it goes here, it's going to stick right down on top of that, which maybe it's meant to. Okay, I guess it is. All right, so this one's definitely in the wrong place then, because it cannot go there. Having said that, it can't go over there either. Let me show you why. It's too long for there. If it goes here, it overlaps with the camera thing. So I'm going to just have to maybe cut some of it off. I mean, this one really feels like this is where it should go, except that it overlaps that. Did I just do this one in the wrong position, this one here? I probably did. Why stick some adhesive down once when you can do it 2 or 3 times? That's what I say. Okay. So if I put that there, okay, I think that's a bit better. So now I've got there to there to there to there. Then we have the great big one, and the big one is going to go right down this side here. So yeah, Jay, I know how hard this is for you. You will struggle, but I am going to put this back together regardless of the state of that battery in here. Picked up some grit. Let's get rid of the grit. Tweezers, pleases. God, what is that? It's a bit of a leaf or something. Okay, and then I guess that goes there. It's really the only place left for it. So, here's a little tip for everyone. If they're doing one of these, put the adhesive on the screen before you assemble it. Before you attach the digitizer to the device. It will make your life a lot easier. But this is what I'm here for. I'm here to make mistakes, so you can learn from my mistakes. He's there. So he goes there. Now what I want to do is line this up quickly and get that thing stuck to the screen rather than being stuck to the base. I just want it to be in the right spot. Here we go. So now the little metal thing is there, stuck on. Bing, bing, bing. Right, so now we've got to clean it again. Then we're going to remove the adhesive and put it back together without checking the battery. Sorry, everyone. God, this has got to be one of the most boring live streams ever. My apologies, folks. I thought, you know what, I'll do something today that I actually needs doing. Yeah. I do not like the way that home button has a horrible kink in it, but still seems to work. All right, here comes the moment I've been dreading. I'm sure you guys know of this trick, but one handy thing you can often do is get a piece of tape like this and you fold it with the sticky on the outside, like that, and then you can just use it to pick up little bits of, too sticky, a little bit too grit. This is not the best example. I wouldn't use this tape. This tape is so insanely sticky. Just normal sticky tape. Is there a pigeon in there? I have an air compressor I could fire up so I can before putting it together, but it's so noisy. Right. Well, we have put this moment off for too long. Is everyone happy for me to start putting it together now? Thanks, Rudy. Thanks for rocking up. Right. Let's go. I'm trying to get the top piece off without lifting the whole thing up, and that is remarkably difficult. Damn. I said damn. Let's try it with the microscope, might be easy. Come on. Come on. Come on. Jeez. Ay caramba. I haven't even managed to get one piece off yet. Lovely nature down under. Yes, there is. There is indeed lovely, lovely nature. Just changing scalpels here. That blade was really dull. Let's see if I can lift the cover piece off. This is unbelievable. Oh, believe it. Oh, believe it. Okay. First piece coming off. Yay. Who knew that this would be the hardest part of the whole bloody job? Lifting these things up without removing the adhesive. Unbelievable. shout out to Foo Fighter fans at the incredibly sad loss of Taylor Hawkins. That was really, really shocking news. Just one of those I can't believe what I'm hearing type moments. This is unbelievable. Oh, come on. I am trying everything here. Doesn't exactly fill me with confidence about how well this stuff is adhering to the glass. Right, we're getting there. We are getting there. That's 2 down, 2 to go. Let's hope these ones are a little easier. I am literally having to get this with the microscope. So crazy. Oh God, you. This is one that I took off and repositioned, so it's probably not as sticky as he once was. The thing came off. You know, the thing. It came off. The little metal thing that I stuck on before. Piffle. Okay, so getting the old one off, connecting the new one up, easy. Working with this stupid frickin' adhesive, nightmare. I'm really sort of thinking I should have just used my own adhesive. I've got lots of adhesives here for sticking things together. All right. All right. In theory, we can put this back together again now. The only thing that is stopping us is we want to make sure it's nice and clean. And I'm going to take the protector off this one here. Get out the hot glue gun, yeah. You know, part of me quite likes some of this stuff that's held together with adhesive, because you don't, you know, it makes it look nicer. You don't see any visible screws or anything like that. But at the same time, you know, the moment you have to start repairing things, these adhesives become a nightmare. Because Apple have been doing it for such a long time. I mean, if you take, for example, if you take something like the old iPad Air, the early ones, like the little 11-inch ones and that, and they've got that aluminium bezel around the outside, and that's stuck on with adhesive. And when you try and take that aluminium bezel off, you'll never get that off flat. It always bends when you're removing it, and then you have to buy a new one to actually replace it, because you put the new one on and it just looks like garbage because it's bent. And stuff like that, I find quite frustrating. You know, you have that advantage of everything being super thin, but it then just severely impacts on the repairability. Thankfully, my mother is not a particularly fussy human being. If I give this back to her with a few little specks of dust in there, she's not going to complain. But I would know it was there. Has Jay left in a huff because I didn't check the battery? I just switched it on. No, I didn't. No, I did. Okay, so it is good enough, I think. I've been working, bruh. Hey, bruh. No worries, bruh. You keep working. We'll just do a quick little test, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a few clamps, clamp the sides, and let it sit for a while, let that adhesive do its sticky thing. Jay, how are you streaming tonight? We've been trying to get Jay to stream for quite some time, and he actually had a really, really good idea for a series of live streams. And I'm going to tell you, if he doesn't do it soon, I'm going to do it instead, because I thought it was a bloody good idea. Oh, it's raining again. Got a little bit of glare going on here. Queen. Oh, 9 on the, no, hang on, 9 on the 10. 5 on the 6. 5. Okay, so we're all working well there. I won't keep playing this. It all seems to be going well, even though I find it extremely hard to stop playing a game when I start. Let's just check back. Oh, my home screen's a little bit crooked. Don't tell. Don't tell, okay? Let's get a nice big fat pen here. Let's get a little bit of green. And yeah, look at that. Yeah, yeah. Right, so let's get some clamps. Clampy wampies. And then I shall put this out of the way while it does its thing. Well, the rain's just stopped again, so you're all right. No more snoozies. one has no rubber bits on it. It's no good. I should actually mention that we are toying with the idea within the Mac Yak group, Mac Yak and friends, I should mention. We will invite plenty of guests here for this. We are planning in the not too distant future a 24-hour live stream. We believe that is the longest you can live stream. I think YouTube doesn't let you live stream any longer than 24 hours. We could be wrong, but we believe that to be the case. And, whoops. Okay. Leave you clamped, my lovely. There we go. Okay, iPad is clamped and doing its thing. So, yeah, 24-hour live stream, that's the plan. And we would be inviting some of the known guests to join in. You know, people like Joe and Ron and Dave and Dan and you know, sort of. I'm sure we would invite some of our previous guests on. Like Kate, and it would be our intention to. It wouldn't be all of us all the time. We would take it in turns, and we would just try and keep a live stream going for 24 hours. No idea what we would do during that time, but we thought it might be a fun thing to do. So, I mean, let's face it. I mean, Mac 84, what did he do? 7 hours yesterday, I think? Or was it 8? It was a long live stream that he did yesterday. Old Digitizer. There we go. Right. Okay, so we finished that. How long have I been going for? An hour and a half. That's not enough. So I am going to do I might even do this and then I can sort of cut it out and do it as a separate video, because this is something that I've been wanting to talk about, and it's these. What I have here are some solder needles, and since I featured these, quite a few people have bought these. I know because they've told me. Jay from the House of Moth bought some. I'm pretty sure Steve from Mac 84 bought some. Plenty of time to diagnose my Mac 2 startup circuit. I could well be looking at a Mac 2 very, very soon. So, we'll get back to that. Now, these are solder needles. They are very, very, a very kind of purpose-made tool. And if we have a look, I'll just jump across onto the microscope quickly here. If we have a look, that's not a scope. That's a Bruce's fat head, that is. Any minute now. Ba-bow. Okay. So, if you have a look at the solder needle here, you'll see it is now starting to rain quite heavily. It is a stainless steel tube. Now, the fact that it's stainless steel is quite important, because stainless steel, you cannot solder to it. You can try, but it won't work. You can, I think, get solder for stainless steel, but the stainless steel that we use here for electronics will not stick. Sorry, the solder that we use here for electronics will not stick to stainless steel. So that's a really important thing. You can't solder to it. But of course it does conduct heat. They come in different sizes. I've got, and then they also have one here which is just a little stabby pointy thing. I've got one in 2mm, 1.8mm, 1.6mm, 1.4, 1.21 and 0.8. Now, what you don't use these for, you don't use them for like trying to poke holes in vias. They're just too small. What these are designed for, they're designed for sticking through hole holes. So when you have, sort of a board with through-hole components, they're designed for that. And I think these holes might be too small. We'll just check, but they might work. Yep, no, they do. So I've got a little blue pill here. It's got no chip on it, so. But you can see this has got a whole series of holes down the side here for when you mount it onto the header. Well, this will actually fit through one of those holes. And if we were to get, say, a Macintosh SE, which I have here, courtesy of Kai, the Wonderful, again, you've got ones that fit through these holes. And you sort of think, well, you know, what good is that? Well, first of all, as I mentioned, they are hollow. So when there is a pin going through one of these, you can often use this to slot between the hole and then the pin goes through the hollow part. And you can use them with heat applied to push solder out of the way. And they also work quite well when you're working with holes that have got solder in them and you're trying to get that solder out. So I'm just going to jump across to the microscope here. I don't know how loud the rain is for you guys, but it sure is loud for me. So what I'm going to do is Jay gone to sleep now? So what I'm doing now is I'm deliberately gumming up a through hole with some solder. Now, some holes are harder to get solder out than others. You can just use wick, but sometimes that doesn't work, particularly if it's on a ground plane. You might have a great deal of trouble, getting it hot all the way through and trying to get all the solder out. So what you can do is you can use the solder needle, and you can apply heat to the area and to the needle, and then you can shove that needle through the hole. Now my finger's got in the way there, but I'll move out of the way now, and you can see that while that solder was molten, I actually forced this solder needle through the hole. Now because the solder doesn't adhere to it, I can now pull it out. And in doing so, out you come. They do get a bit stubborn sometimes. Come out, you. There we go. I've taken him out, and you can see that I have actually made a hole there. And you can see it poking through the other side there. That would now allow me to get a component in there if I needed to. So anyhow, that's what you use solder needles for. I used the solder needle when I was working on the Mac II last time, but I ended up actually damaging the chip in the process, and so now I'm going to replace that chip with a new one. So we're going to grab that Mac II board. I've got two Mac IIs here. Yep. So this is the one that I'm trying to repair. You can't see it because when we're looking at the microscope. I'm just going to check the rain radar because, my goodness, this is annoying. It's really starting to piss me off. Yeah. It's growing in size as it moves over us, so it's hard to predict when it's going to end. I'm going to get so wet walking back to the house. Oh my God, it is bucketing down. Ay caramba. Aha. So anyhow, as I was saying, this is one that I've been working on. This is the one that's referred to as the Spaghetti Mac II. I got this one originally with some trace repair done by someone else, and they had a lot of traces going all over the board, looking like spaghetti. What I did is I neatened them up. So all around here I've gone in and neatened them up, made them look a lot nicer, not quite as spaghetti. Now we haven't been able to get this one to start yet. When he comes on, you can hear a slight sort of pop from the speaker. We don't get any chime, we don't get a happy or a sad Mac chime or anything like that. It's just sort of silent. But we do know that we're getting power to the new bus cards. We've seen that. And we are getting some things heating up. These guys here heat up. These guys here heat up. Actually, no, the PMU doesn't. But these heat up. I think this heats up. But anyhow, this here is a sound chip. And when I went to go remove this, I ended up damaging one of the pins. And I did a bit of a bodge repair on it, but not a particularly good one. So we're going to whip that guy off today. Oh, Adam McGee, are you here? Yes, here you are. This here? No. Yeah, here we are. This here. This is one of the through-hole fuses on this Mac II. You see the little yellow tube thing there? That's what some of the early SE30s had on them as well. Little through-hole fuse like that. Right, so this is a known good board. This one works, it's all fine. This one's mine. Did a lot of repair to it, now works, it's all great. You guys let me know if the audio is so bad that this becomes unwatchable or unlistenable, and I will end the stream and we'll do it another time. I just, I don't want this to actually just be really annoying for people. Gosh. Fuse on SE30 has big blue round saucers for fuses. Oh yes, I've seen those as well. Yep, I have seen those, and they stick up really high off the board. Yeah, I've seen those. I say no. Sounds okay? Okay. No need to scream. Your voice is way louder than the rain. Okay. I can't hear myself. It's crazy. It's the thing is that it is so loud to my ears that it's forcing me to talk louder because I can barely hear my own voice. All right. So, but thank you for that feedback. It's very important. So we're going to whip off this this little sound chip from here. We've got two sound chips. Unlike some of the later computers that they had stereo sound all integrated into a single chip, this is the earlier ones where it has two separate sound chips, one for the left channel, one for the right channel. You'll see the same thing on an SE30, and not only that, you'll actually see exactly the same sound chip. So the SE30 has these two sound chips up on the side of the board. I've probably got one lying around somewhere, and they use exactly the same sound chip. So it's another one of those situations where it's very handy to you know, to have a few spares of these because they'll service several computers. Yeah, I'll tell you. So, Steve, tell me in the chat. Let me know what's next for the 840 AV. Are we going to see another stream on that soon? We do need to know. Four times since I started watching this thing. Yeah. Okay. Now, one of the things that I really don't like about working on a Mac II board is that they are massive, and it forces me to clean, or at least a little bit. So let's see if we can get this chip out. Jump across to the microscope view, and we'll see if we can do this with wick, and if we can't, we will try that little the little solder needle. I might need to lift this up a bit. There we go. Okay, I hope everyone can see that. Good one, Michael. Oh, by the way, Michael, I don't know. Have you? I haven't checked the tracking, but have you received the PowerBook SCSI 2 SD yet? It's been in transit for a while now, so I would hope you would be receiving it soon, maybe within a week's time. I would hope. creation, ultrasonic creation vid before we get a Mac 84 840AV repaired. I do hope to have that video happening very soon. I have actually planned to do some work on it today. I need to go out and do some shopping because I'm cooking lamb shanks for dinner tonight. So I need to go out and buy the lamb shanks. So I've got to go out and do some shopping, and then I plan to see if I can get a bit more work done on the ultrasonic video. I've got some stuff just recently for shooting some B-roll footage. I don't think I've said hello to you, Francois, and I don't think I've said hello to you, John Mortz. Dave, I haven't said hello to you. Hello, Dave. Okay, that's enough about Jay's prostate issues. A kangaroo delivered it this week. Wonderful, wonderful. I'm so pleased to hear that. Sorry I took so long to send it. Just a quick little backstory on that one for anyone who missed it. Michael contacted me and asked me if I could send a SCSI 2SD PowerBook edition, one of the ones that I hand assemble here. Asked if I could send it to him, and I said yes, of course, no problem. So he then sent me the address and he paid for it. I got the thing, I packaged it up in bubble wrap, sat it on my desk, all ready to send out, and then forgot. Completely and totally forgot. The SCSI 2SD ended up underneath a mound of stuff on my desk, and because it didn't come through as an order from my website, it wasn't kind of in my system. And so anyhow, I was tidying up my desk. Well, I wasn't really, I was trying to find something else. And I see this wrapped up PowerBook SCSI 2SD, and I'm like, oh, I was meant to send this somewhere. And I couldn't remember who. And so I did a search. I searched around, I searched for PowerBook SCSI 2SD in some of my chats to see if I could find out who it was meant for and all this sort of stuff. And then eventually Mike said, you know what, that PowerBook SCSI thing you sent me in November, or wherever it was, still hasn't arrived. And I'm like, oh, mystery solved. So I was obviously very apologetic, and I got it sent out as quickly as I could. And I'm very pleased to hear that it has arrived. And I felt incredibly stupid, and deservedly so. I even said it on a live stream once. I think or it might have been MacDac or something. And I'm like, I've got this SCSI 2SD here, and I can't remember who it was meant for. Okay. Nope. Nope. When I was working on this computer before, I noticed that I had a trace break underneath this sound chip, and so that was why I ended up taking it off, and that was when I ended up damaging it. And to be honest, I didn't hit it very hard when it damaged it. It was like Han Solo in Empire Strikes Back, where he shot that thing, and he said, "Oh, I didn't hit it very hard. It must have had it self-destruct." Or something like that. I do not have the same level of Star Wars recall as someone like Steve from Mac 84. He seems to have pretty much every line from, well, goodness me, not just Star Wars, lots and lots of movies. Very, very good recall. I'm using a bit of hot air for this because I've got most of the solder out, but it's still being a bit stubborn. So I don't really care what happens to this chip because it's about to be replaced. So I'm just using some hot air just so that I can get all of that solder melted at the same time, and then hopefully just leverage this guy out of here. Like that. Yay! Chip off. That's a chip off the old block. Come on! And Steve just went and proved my point. Very eloquently there. Oopsie. I'm going to put a new piece of wire there. That one got mangled. What size wire is this? Is this the size wire I want? Yep, that feels like the size wire I want. This is not the wire you're looking for. Move along. Oh, the rain's starting to ease up a little. Ugly flux. Ugly flux. All those experiments I was doing with flux before, and now I can't find it. Here it is. So basically pin 6, I think if my memory serves correctly, pin 6 is meant to be joined between the two sound chips. So pin 6 of sound chip A is meant to be connected to pin 6 of sound chip B. And it wasn't because of this ugly little trace break here. It is not wars that make one great. So I'll tell you what was on TV last night. Just on, you know, like free-to-air TV sort of thing. Not on one of the subscriber channels or anything like that. Was Indiana Jones and the something something crystal skull. Now, how does one put it nicely? That movie is a pile of turd. That movie never got made, yeah. Let's pretend that. It's kind of insulting, isn't it, that movie? And I mean, I was so pleased when I heard they got Karen Allen back, you know. It's like, oh, great, you know. What a wonderful thing. And yeah, I just used my solder needle to clear out some solder. Pretty good, eh? And let's see if we can get this. I'd left something in here from the other side, which I should have dealt with earlier. Oh, there go the needles. And the needles have hit the deck. And you know, I have to confess, I felt kind of sorry for Shia, is it Shia LaBeouf? Because, you know, I mean, young actor, you know, big break, that sort of thing. And of course, he ends up being in a film that's just universally hated. Ow! Oh, jeez. Hey, you just got to remember, things get hot with the soldering iron. I mentioned it in my one of my other very recent live streams. I rarely get burned by the soldering iron, but I regularly get burned by things that get hot from the soldering iron. And there was just a good case in point then, where I managed to just burn myself with a solder needle that had got very, very hot from the soldering iron. Now, this is giving me a fair bit of grief, and this is something I was talking to Jay from the House of Moth about just recently. He's had a great deal of trouble trying to get what do you call those things? RAM slots off a G4 board, and he ended up just going postal on the slot and just left with pins stuck in the holes, and he just has not been able to get enough heat to melt those through. Now, I'm not comparing this to that by any stretch, but this is an instance where I do have a bit of an issue because of this great big piece of ground here, and this just sucks up all the heat. It just gobbles it up, so it's really hard for me to get that melting to then try and get that solder out of the way. And so I'm using hot air rather than the soldering iron to try and get the whole board hot, and then the hope is that I'll be able to then melt that solder and jab something through it. But when you see the amount of heat that I'm having to apply to this and we're still not melting, it just gives you an idea of how much of that heat is being drawn away by that large plane of copper there. And it could well be attached to a plane of copper inside as well. There we go. Okay. When Lucas and Spielberg start messing with their original works, restoring them, then we have problems. Yeah, I think a lot of the time this has to do with the fact that people like Lucas and Spielberg are now very different ages to the age they were when they made those films. And more importantly, I think they also sometimes end up saying, oh, you know, with the benefit of hindsight, if I was to make that movie again, I'd do this. And there have been, I've actually heard Spielberg say that about some of his films, where he said, oh, you know, this particular thing in the movie, I wouldn't have done it that way this time around. And I sort of think to myself, well, I'm so glad that you're not doing that movie now then, because that really worked. Yeah. Yeah, they are making another Indiana Jones, I heard that. Right, so we need to find some components. And I have this system whereby every single component that's not a capacitor gets put in a container labelled miscellaneous. Not much more of a system than that really, but I think I have actually found what I'm looking for. We'll see. I think this is it. Oop. Just drop the chip. Don't drop the chip, don't drop the chip, baby. Okay, 343 00458. Nope, that is definitely not a sound chip. You think I should put a socket in? Probably not. SE30 VRAM. I have got a lot of SE30 VRAM, if anyone ever needs it. Okay, so it's not there and it's not there. So that's two of my containers just labelled miscellaneous. It's not in those. So now I have to find more containers labelled miscellaneous. Some containers that don't even have labels. What do we got here? Oh, I've been looking for these. I need to take these inside. I was wondering where these were. Very expensive way to buy these things, but better than nothing if I can't find them anywhere else. Okay, let's get all those and plonk them there so I don't forget them. I will forget them. We know I'll forget them. Okay. Oh, that needs to go in here. Okay, it's not in that miscellaneous. That's capacitors. That's another miscellaneous. What do we got here? Oh, I've got all sorts of interesting things here. I've got sound chips for color classics. I've got, what are that? That's things. Oh, lots of interesting things. Good. I like having things. Capacitors, 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 capacitors. Developers, 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 developers. Developers. Okay. Still looking. Don't worry. There's a very good chance that I may find what I'm looking for. Empty container. Cool. What do we got here? I'm really starting to wonder now. Surface mount electrolytic. What about in that? No, that all looks like reefer caps. A whole stack of reefers. Well, they're not reefers, they're replacements for reefers. Safety caps. Ugh. It's got to be here somewhere. I mean, is it? Doesn't it have to be? I'm really starting to worry now. It's my worried face. And they're definitely not sound chips. Oh, found them. They were there all along. One of the first ones I looked at. Just didn't use, I looked, but I didn't see. Okay, sorry, I have missed up the chat. Do you think Harrison Ford will appear to be angry and pissed off that he's making another movie. All right, so these are the sound chips. 343-00453. Now these are not new. They are removed from boards, and that's because they don't make these no more. So that's just life. So we're going to get this sound chip, and we're going to pop him on here, and then once he's on, we'll test this computer. I don't expect it to make any difference, but we will test it anyway. Now I'm going to put this little chip in here, and I'm going to solder it in without bending any pins. Yes, I'm talking to you, Joe. I saw you bend those pins. We all saw you. All right. Doesn't look like an iPad. No, not anymore. iPad's done. iPad's sitting over there with its brand new digitizer. Oopsie, microscope went again. With its brand new digitizer, and now we moved on to a Mac II. So, bing. Bendy pins. No, can't. No, we can't have that. Now, if this was a RAM chip, like on a 128K or a 512K, I would be socketing this. But really, there's no reason why you should be having to take sound chips off these, so I'm not bothering to socket this. You know, one of the things I need to do another live stream soon with that Apple IIc. Remember the Apple IIc I was working on a while ago, for anyone who was watching it? I need to get Joe on the stream. I need to get Javier. I need to get Randy. I need to get Rudy. Sorry, Randy. Who's Randy? Rudy. And I need to get like Adam McGee on and see if we can figure out the problems with that 2C. Get it working again. Because that was one where I ripped off all the RAM chips and replaced a few of them, and it still wouldn't work. And then we sort of got to a point where we then just left it alone. Let's see how this goes here. Awesome. Thank you for that, Joe. It would just be great to get that going, just so you know. Because I mean, why have one Apple IIc when you can have two? In truth, I've put all of the good stuff into one and then all the bad stuff in the other. So I think the keyboard might even be missing a key, or it might have it's got a damaged key, I think. It's glued together, but it's a damaged key. And so, yeah, that second one will never be as nice as the first one. And of course, I am missing the character generator or whatever it's called. So I would need to I'm actually missing a chip, so I would need to get hold of that chip in order to have a complete one. Or I can just sort of sell it for parts. Because there are people asking for parts all the time for those things. Has anyone got a spare handle? Has anyone got a spare key? That sort of stuff. Has anyone got a spare floppy? Okay, so there's my new sound chip stuck on there. We will just quickly test this. I don't expect it to work because, to be honest, I felt like the sound chip that was on it before was okay. We will just quickly test. Picked up 2 more Mac IIs last weekend. Yeah, well, we just have to deal with the whole, you know, better half situation when it comes to this vintage stuff. It's like the other day when I came in with a G, you know, what is it? What do you call it? A G, G3, blue and white. And of course, my wife, you know, she's very supportive. I mean, she's like, "Oh wow, that's like those original blue ones. Wow, that's amazing." And I'm thinking, "Oh wow, you know, being so nice when I know in actual fact you want to say, where the beep are we going to stick that?" Okay, so I just quickly want to test here. It was pin 6, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pin 6 should go to pin 6 on this one, and it does. So that's a good thing. Right, now we're going to do the little thing that I do here sometimes, where I am going to connect a speaker to it. Ouch. Like this. Like this. Here's a speaker. Pop him there. And then we'll get a power supply. Now, for anyone who hasn't seen me working on the Mac II before, that might be new to the live stream, and you might be just about to say, hey, you can't switch that on without batteries. Well, I have a way of getting around that, because I have a power supply here which bypasses the startup circuit. And it essentially just feeds power to the computer regardless of the state of the power button. So we are doing what's often referred to as a hot wire. And it just means that I can test for certain things without having to find out whether my startup circuit's working or not. Yeah, so we don't do basements here in Australia. So, yeah, I don't have a basement. I've got 3 sheds. One of them is pretty full of computers and other stuff. This one here is pretty full of computers. The other one's got some computers in there. All right, okay, I'm going to apply some power to this. I don't expect anything to happen, but we're going to do it anyway. And I was right, nothing happened. I can say that, yep, I can already feel these starting to warm up here, which tells me that there is actually power running through this. There's actually a really easy way of telling whether there's power running through the board, and you can get what you do is you just go in and grab your Kaiweets KM601 multimeter, links in the description. Okay, let me just, sorry. There we go. I should just mention very quickly how many different functions you get with this Kaiweets KM601 for a budget multimeter. It's quite incredible. So anyhow, you grab your Kaiweets multimeter, you put it into DC volts. I've done that there. And with this on, you basically put one here, and put your black in there, and then you want there, and you can see, oops, 12 volts, 5 volts. So that tells me that there's power coursing through this board. But of course, we're not getting any chime, no ding ding. I had an early suspicion that it was a problem with the sound chips, and that's what led me to find that broken trace. But the problem the thing that really concerns me now is that was one broken trace sitting underneath this chip here, which leads me to think there could be broken traces all over the place, and most specifically underneath the RAM. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just have a quick little look around some of these areas of corrosion. So the areas that we get the corrosion the most are along here. That's all part of the startup circuit. I've already had a pretty good look at all that stuff, and I'm pretty confident that I've repaired everything along that area there. And then, of course, the other places where we get corrosion are near all of the original electrolytic capacitors. So we've got these two guys up here. I've already done quite a lot of repairs there. Got this little guy here. We've got these three here, and of course we ended up with some corrosion underneath this chip because of that. I've got this guy here, and there was quite a bit of corrosion there that's all been repaired around there as well. So what we're going to do is we're just going to do a quick little tour of all the capacitors and the surrounding areas and see if there aren't some possible areas that we might have missed. Bailey's a clock. Good on you. Yes, what time is it here? It's only 10 to 2 at this stage. Right, so let's do a tour of the caps. Here's C11. And where would we be potentially looking for trace damage? Well, we've already found some there that's been repaired. And some up there, it's been repaired. And some there, it's been repaired. The fear is there might be some underneath. Oh, look, is that? What's that? Oh, no, that's just. Oh, I'm not looking at the microscope. That's right. Microscope had a hissy fit. Had a tanty. Microscope's coming. Bing. All right, so rectify the situation now. Okay, so looking at C11 here, been some repairs up there. We've got a little bit of trace damage up there. We'll give that a bit of a scrape. But I can tell already that that will have complete copper there. So we're fine. Good continuity going on there. I had a little bit of green stuff under here, but I think that's just a bit of UV mask. It's ended up there. So let's have a look at this trace here. Yeah, he looks all right. As I say, we had some damage there. Do I take this? What do you call those things? Clocks? Oscillator. Do I take the oscillator off and have a look underneath it? It's probably a prudent thing to do. Now we've got to the point where we've kind of looked at all of the stuff we can see. We have to start looking for the stuff that we can't see. And so I might take that inductor off. Not inductor. Clock. Oscillator. Words aren't going well today, are they? Right. There's a great big lumpy pins from the oscillator. How does one clean a logic board if they don't have an ultrasonic tank? Well, Don, I'm afraid you are left to sort of more manual options like toothbrush and some isopropyl alcohol or some distilled water. Depending on what you're cleaning up, you would potentially use different methods. Oh God, this is stuck. There we go. But yeah, there's things like flux cleaner. You can buy that in bottles. I use that as well. This one's being very stubborn. I may end up needing to get the old hot air out for that one. You can just always tell when you're trying to remove solder from a ground plane. It's just, you just don't get the heat where you want it. I don't know if anyone else in the chat here has ever removed a crystal oscillator before. They're remarkably difficult because they are a big thing of metal, these square ones. And it's incredibly difficult to get the heat where you want. Will I try the needles for this one? I hear you ask. Nobody asked that. It's too big. So yeah, cleaning without an ultrasonic, it just involves, you know, I mean, what you can do is you can get like a plastic container, like a Tupperware or something like that, that's a little bit bigger, or a storage container that's a little bit bigger than your than the board, and fill it up with some distilled water, which is quite cheap, or fill it up with some isopropyl alcohol, which is not as cheap, and you can yeah, and then you know, get a bit of a toothbrush and give it a bit of a scrub, and then just make sure you get it very dry afterwards. Don't use tap water. If you use tap water, it will appear like it's clean, and then you'll go away and you'll leave it, and you'll come back to it later on and find it's got like kind of white stuff caked over everything. Whoa! And make sure you don't shove too hard on these things, because I did that the other day and that was when I broke something. It's a nice thing to do there, mate. Actually scan the board in. Whoops. Hey. One time that I did remove an oscillator was from Macintosh II SI, because if you're planning to overclock a 2SI, you have to remove one of the oscillators and replace it with a faster one. And that's one instance where I've removed an oscillator. You notice that these older boards, like this Mac II, they don't like the hot air. See the way the layers of the PCB actually start sort of separating? It's off. Did I break it? It's highly likely. I don't know. Still appears to be in one piece. But yeah, so if you are in a situation, Don, where you want to give it a really good clean, you know, as I say, my suggestion would be to create a bath big enough for the board to go in of distilled water, and just, you know, get it with a bit of a. What you can do is you can get the worst of it off with a toothbrush and some isopropyl alcohol. You know, and just get all of the gunge off and just loosen it all, and then just do that final rinse in a bucket of distilled water, and, you know, and just get the rest of it off. You know, and you can just tip the distilled water down the sink afterwards. Right, so let's just have a look underneath this oscillolator, and that looks like everything's intact. But we will check a little closer. So we're looking for any areas of dark, where the traces are dark, and they really don't look too bad here. I'm basically just prolonging the inevitable here. I know that the end result is I'm probably going to have to take a RAM sim off, a RAM socket. And I don't like doing that. I probably should be taking notes here of what I've removed, so I don't end up removing the same thing more than once. I know I've already removed this guy, UG11, this VLSI. I have definitely removed that before. Use air compressor. Where to put it? Oh, here it is. Okay, so we took it off, then we put it back on. Wasn't that fun? But process of elimination, eh? Just has to be done. Okay. That's it. Oscillator off, oscillator on. So that was C11. We had a little bit of a look around there and feeling pretty confident that we've repaired any damage caused by that one. Does not appear to have, just in case anyone is wondering, that is a bit of gunk just there. This one really looks quite clean. I'm not overly concerned about that one. So, okay, C11. Let's move to C10. Now this one here, I don't like. I don't like it. And I don't like it because of what's going on under here. And once again, we're attached to ROMs here. So part of me feels like I should probably whip off that ROM socket and have a look under it. See that everything's peachy. But I really don't want to. Just surface melt soldering is so much easier. Through hole sucks. I mean, this is going to suck. There's just no way. There's no way of putting it any other way. Are you really going to do this? Jeremy, hello. If you're looking at the description of the video and noticing that this does not look like an iPad, that's because the iPad has been done. And I'm now working on the Mac II. This is a Mac II I've been working on for some time. I have had this Mac II here for repair for an extremely long time. I would love to see it gone. There are essentially two ways that this can go. I can just get rid of it, give it back to the customer and say, sorry, can't repair it. Or I can repair it. Now, the problem with the latter is that it takes a really long time. And I've already invested hours in this. Now, it's getting to the point now where I really can't charge the customer for the time that I have invested on this board. And I'm essentially doing this as a sort of a charity thing. But what I am doing is I am getting some content for my video, for my channel. So I look at it from that perspective. And I also do feel partially responsible here because this is a board that I think ended up on what do you call that thing, on Facebook. And I ended up saying to someone, oh God, fume extractor please. I ended up saying to someone, can you send it to me? And so I sort of volunteered myself to fix it. Yeah, so now it is kind of personal. It's if I'd have just ignored that post on Facebook. But you know, one of the things is, and in particular when you have the set of skills that I have, when you see a computer like this, an old Mac II, and I have quite a lot of fondness for the Mac II, and you see it there and you think, you know what, I reckon I can get that one working. And you want that. You want to get it working. You want people to be able to use it. So, sorry, I just saw Jay's comment before. This pin goes to ground. Just sucking all the heat away. I have to say most of these have come really well. I probably could have even used the machine for this, you know, my solder sucker, because there's a nice decent amount of space around these pins. For anyone who doesn't have a solder sucker and might be thinking about investing in one, they work very effectively on holes that have like a pretty loose sort of fit with the pin that goes inside it. Like these, as you can see, there's a lot of space around the outside, so there's room for the air to actually suck through. If your pin is a really, really tight fit in the hole, that solder sucker does not work as effectively. I could use the Brucinator for this, like this, but the problem I have here is that it often does damage. So if I do that, didn't get it out anyway. But I just worry about the damage that it does around the surrounding area when it moves. Going through a lot of wick, of course. But that is par for the course. Good wick. It is indeed. Very good wick. Ouch. Now this one is going to be tricky. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with most of these pins. As you can see, they've got a good wibbly wobble on them. I've got one still stuck there. And one's still stuck there. And for that, I might try my they're going to fit. Not sure if that's going to fit. We'll try. Let's get some hot air. Out of curiosity, I just want to test this theory out. It's not really a theory. I just want to see if the next size up. Oh, the next size up. Damn, this thing is just sucking away all the heat. God, look at this is just so difficult. When I combine the hot air with the soldering iron, I can get the solder melted. But yeah, this is turning out to be not fun. Come back. Yeah, I think we got it. Yippity-doo-dah. See if we can do the same for this one. Okay, so we are now presented with some complications. We have to get this socket off somehow, and I nearly thought I took the wrong one off, which just made my heart stop for a second there. So I need to start getting this off somehow. How about I take the ROM chip off? Probably should have done that before. It was probably sucking up heat. ROM removal. Oh, he's coming off. Oh, by his hair. Yep, he just came off. Well, zippity-doo-dah. Zippity-zap. All right. So that actually worked out quite well. So I've done one little trace repair here. A little bit of... Whoopsie. Left the pin behind. I think I might need to replace the socket. We'll see. Yeah, there's a pin. And there's a pin. I mean, I've got plenty of spare sockets, but I might be able to salvage this. We'll see. Just plug USB zip 250 drive into my Mac Studio. Awesome. The old with the new. I've got a couple of those zip 250 drives. One of them has been promised to Jay. Jay, do you still need that? I was meant to post it to you, I don't know, a year ago? What is Bruce fixing? Okay, Bruce is now fixing a Mac II. I really should put it up on the thingy, shouldn't I? So the iPad is done. All done and dusted, and it's got some clamps on it to make the adhesive adhere. Get it all stuck on there. That's around the wrong way. Come on, Bruce. Put it in the right way. Okay. There's one pin back. And here's two pins back. And of course, I've got a Macintosh II FX, which I've done a live stream on as well. Some people may have seen that. And with that one, I get a sad Mac chime. So that one was a battery bombed one, did quite a bit of repair work to it. And we're getting sad Mac. Still needs obviously more work to go. But I haven't got back to that. I think I did 2 live streams on it, but I haven't got back to that. And one of the main reasons I haven't got back to that is because that one's mine. You know, I initially did it just to see if I could get it up and running in a hurry, and I couldn't. So, you know, I need to come back to it. All right, so looking at this here, yes, we had some trace damage there that I've repaired, but it does not seem to go any further up. So once again, that was removed and no damage underneath that I can see. Just a little spot here I don't like the look of. If I have a main board with burned vias for the electrolytic caps, would brass inserts help? Possibly. So important thing to keep in mind with a via is a via can do one of two things. It can link the top to the bottom of the board. That's easy. Run a wire through it, solder it on top and bottom. But what it can also do is it can link layers inside the board. And that's when it starts to get tricky if that is damaged. Trying to actually get the link between those different layers can be very hard. You know, a little bit of brass insert might help, but that's a kind of a, that's a maybe sort of answer. Just going to clean these up a little bit. Then we can pop the socket back. Now, I see wavy hands from Mac 84. Does that mean Mac 84 is arriving, or does it mean Mac 84 is leaving? Whoops, that was a nice big bit of plastic. I just melted onto the board there. Away with you. I have a G3 beige tower. Beige G3 tower. I have a desktop as well, but I like the tower more. It's just because of the way it looks. But I'm not just boasting. The reason I'm mentioning that is because that has an internal zip drive in it, which I think is cool. It's just an indication of how prevalent zips were, and particularly in the Mac world because of the design industry, I guess. You know, zips were just so incredibly prevalent that, yeah, that you would get a beige tower with a zip already built in. Oh, super chat from Jeremy. Gets his spot on the screen here. Whee. Solder with an L. Yes, indeed. Just saying hi. Good on you, Steve. Oh, I assume everyone saw the fact that the guy who invented the GIF passed away recently. I don't remember his name. I apologise for that. And of course, he was adamant that the correct pronunciation was GIF. And as someone pointed out, it's just such a shame that the guy who invented it never figured out how to pronounce it properly. I do not say Jif other than the cleaning agent for cleaning your bathroom, which is pronounced with a J. I mean, spelt with a J. And let's face it, it's graphics, not giraffics. So I've had a pretty good look around here underneath this ROM socket, and I don't really see any nastiness. As I say, we've got this little tracer. Oh geez, that looks awful. I assume I've tested it for continuity. This one here looks terrible. And I scraped all of these off, and I bet you I went and tested every single one of these for continuity. Stephen, is it Willett? Willett? Is that how it's pronounced? I'm not sure. Okay, well, we'll just do a little bit of gigawatts, yes. 1.21 gigawatts. 1.21 gigawatts. Okay, I'm just going to put this into continuity mode for a little bit of beepity beep action. And we'll just check and make sure that these are all What's going on? Okay, so they're all continuous. We're all happy, and we're a little bit out of focus. Sorry about that, people. Beep, 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 beep. Oops, this got flux all over it, and now I got it all over my hands. Giggity, 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 giggity. Giggity. For the Family Guy friends out there, Glenn Quagmire, the airline pilot, he loves to say giggity. Giggity. Alright, socket goes back on now. I can hear you. I can see you. What are you doing? Crazy mouse. There are two things that bring the mice into this particular little workshop here. One thing is birdseed. I keep my chickens' food in here. It's all bagged up, but they bite through it. They bite through the bag sometimes. This has got to work. How do I make this work? Has to work. Did I put that there? Okay. Taking my light away though. And the other is, of course, with it being so wet, coming in here to stay dry. Giggity. Do 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 do. To everyone who is watching at the moment, I want to say thank you very much for sparing your precious time to watch me today. I feel as if today has been not one of my better streams. I feel like the iPad situation took me a lot longer than it should have and wasn't particularly entertaining to watch. And now we move on to this Mac II board, and this is turning out to be very tedious and repetitious and whatnot, and of course not really getting any eureka moments. You know, we really want those eureka moments where we oh my goodness, look, it's a broken trace. And this just isn't like that. It's one of the reasons why I do most of these sorts of repairs not on live stream. When I'm doing these sorts of troubled boards, the boards that are just giving me grief and taking a really long time, I tend to just do these in my own time because, you know, it's just not particularly interesting to watch. Excuse me. But for those who are watching, I do thank you. I know that Jay will be happy either way. He'll be working away there. And he's just happy to have something going on in the background. I know, as am I. It's like, you know, when I'm working, like yesterday when I was working, I had Steve's stream keeping me company. Because I was doing some accounting yesterday, and then I had to do some coding for a customer who I've taken a really long time to get something done, because I have been very time poor lately. Okay, there's the ROM chip going back. Now, is there any point in actually testing it now? I've done nothing. Probably not. It'd be one of those like Merlin repairs or the Wizard repairs where you just sort of fiddle around, you take things off and you put things back on again, and then all of a sudden it starts working. So we have the risk here with this capacitor doing potential damage under these ROM sockets as well. Boing, like these ones here. Are you sure the RAM is good? If it were not good, so just to give you an idea with the behavior of how a Macintosh II is, if you have no RAM in it at all, it will make a sad Mac chime. And this doesn't make any noise at all, RAM in or out. So we're not even getting to the point where it's doing a RAM check, really. So greetings from Brisbane. I hope your weather is better than it is here. It's freaking awful here. I know you guys have been getting some unbelievable rain up there, as have we. Just looking in between these RAM slot thingies to see if there's anything inside. So this is where most of the damage was, around here. You can see I've done some trace repairs there. And it tends to go along here. Then there was some pretty bad corrosion underneath this cap here. Fixed that up. I fixed that up twice. It's a little bit neater the second time round, so that's something. Really common areas with the Mac II where you would have problems around here, underneath these two caps. You know, this area here, or these little chips here, but this is all related to the startup circuit. So even if I hadn't repaired this, I should be able to get this computer going with a jump start. Okay, so yeah, so potentially some trace damage underneath here being caused by this capacitor, but you know, I mean, none of these ones right next to it are damaged, so perhaps not. Got this little guy here hanging out near the RAM. Oh, that was something that was a little bit sus with this one as well. I'd forgotten about that. When I got this one, see how this is orange? I didn't do that. This was like this when I got it. So it was like someone had applied some heat to this here. But I'm not sure why. See, maybe one of these resistor nets is bad. I can always test them. Mm-hmm. 22 ohms. 22 ohms. This is the same as what you ordered, Steve, I think. 22 ohms. 22 ohms. So Steve had to order a replacement part for his Quadra 700, I think. And it was one of these resistor nets. So yeah, I just don't know why that one was heated up, but it seems to be okay. And it could be the CPU. I could, you know, maybe swap the CPU over. Oh well, let's test it. We'll put a little power in it again. We'll just see what happens. It won't do anything, I know that, but we'll test it anyway. And then I think I'll probably wrap up the stream because I need to go out and buy some things in order for me to cook a yummy dinner tonight. It's very red, isn't it? There we go. Yeah, two pins are actually joined together. They're meant to be joined together. The original trace on that chip is gone. So if that trace was there, you would actually be able to see it. It does a little bridge between two pins there. But because that trace is gone, you can't see it. So all you could see is my bodge wire. And of course, my bodge wire ends up looking like it's wrong, but it is actually correct. So, but thank you for pointing that out. I always like to have extra eyes on things in case I have made a mistake. Yes, and of course we do use the term beige, but really beige was something that stopped. And even in the Mac Plus days, the early Mac Pluses, they were beige, the original 128K Mac, 512K. But, you know, at a certain point, by the time we got to the SE, Macintosh SE, and then on, they're all platinum. They're not beige. No, sir. Sorry, that was the fan. Freaked myself out. There ain't nothing coming from that at all. So even with some computers, like an old Mac II, like this, let's say I had no chime, I can sometimes hold the speaker to my ear and I can tap the restart button and I can hear it go, and that tells me there's a reset signal going through. Now, none of that there. No, I didn't get any sort of pop or anything from the speaker. Which suggests again that it's not even getting to that stage there. My original suspicion that like the reset was stuck on or something like that, and that was what made me start tracking down the issues with the sound chip. But yeah, not good at all. I have swapped over ROMs with known good ROMs. It didn't make any difference, just in case people are wondering. I don't think I've swapped CPUs. I would hope that the CPUs are okay, but you never know. I do get quite a bit of heat here. More heat than I would have expected. So I don't know if there is a short going on in here somewhere. But it's my the next thing that I'm going to do with this is something that I should have really done before I started looking at this today. I took photos of this board using the thermal camera, and I took photos of this one after it had been on for a while, which shows everything that's getting warm. And then I got a known working board and I did the same, and I want to take those two photos and overlay them on Photoshop and then sort of flick between the two to see if I can see any notable differences, if I can see some areas that don't appear to be firing up, and then, you know, potentially look at those as a potential danger area. Actually, got some missing middle of the board. Yes, no, so that's as Adam, I think, and Joe have pointed out. Yeah, that's where the batteries go. On these original boards, they were axial 3.6 volt Vata batteries, and they actually have an incredibly good lifespan. But what we will need to do is we'll replace those with little battery sockets. I've actually got a 3D printed holder that fits that. It's a double one that fits that, and you basically get one of these holders and then you just take the metal bits out of there, and you put them into my 3D printed one, and that works a treat. So anyhow, here we are. Don't like how hot that's getting. I really don't. And I think the problem is there somewhere, so I probably need to get the schematic out and, you know, start taking some readings and figuring that out. But again, I won't do that on live stream because that is just so damn boring to watch. Okay, well, I think it's probably time for me to start wrapping things up. I have been streaming now for over 3 hours, which is longer than I expected. It definitely was not one of my finest works, that's for sure. And to be honest, I suspect that a lot of people that watch my live streams probably saw the thumbnail and went, who gives a stuff about watching someone work on an iPad? Just going from... So let's maybe have damage from C8. Where are we? C8. Yeah, so UC7 was an absolute train wreck. Train wreck. So UC7 came off, and there's a whole stack of trace repair there. I'll show you under the microscope so you can see. And I'm very confident about the trace repair work that I've done there in terms of it restoring continuity in that. So let me just show you very quickly before I sign off. This is it. Focus. So there you can see there's my little trace repairs, and they're going along there and along there and along there. So that's all repaired. But interestingly enough, even when I take that chip off, so what I did was, just for a bit of fun, I took that chip off and removed all the trace repair. Oh, excuse me. All these chips were still getting hot. So go figure. Yeah, did all those trace repairs. Got all the continuity restored, all good, and yeah, still getting a bit of heat going on in here. And weirdly enough, when I connected a display card here and fired it up, it was outputting power. I didn't get a signal, but it was outputting power. So UD7, boom. UD7 actually looks really good. Don't see any damage to UD7 at all. You can go in and have a bit of a look-see up close. But he really doesn't show any signs of corrosion at all. Yeah. See, I mean, even this trace sitting right next to C8, he didn't get damaged. Most of the damage, oh no, I won't say that. I was going to say most of the damage seems to be going upwards of actually it is in most cases. Here, 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 here. All of the damage has gone up the board from the capacitors, which suggests to me that it was probably stored like that. And so the leakage was actually going down the board that way. That's how it looks to me anyway. So things sort of kind of northwards of those the original surface mount electrolytic caps. That's where the damage seems to have been done. Okay, so I was signing off, wasn't I? That was one that was getting really hot. Yeah, all of them are. So UD7, UD8, well, actually all of them are. All 8 of them. But I will check that with the thermal images that I took, just to see if any seem to be getting hotter than the others. But yeah, all 8 of those appear to be getting warm. Oh, one of them could be shot. Could be stuffed. I don't know. It's always possible. It is a Mac II board. Well spotted, Vintage Hillbilly Shack. Okay, so let's just change now to the front view as we do the normal sign-off thing that I normally do. I want to say thank you to everyone for watching. Thank you for the super chats. Thanks for sticking around with me. Once again, I apologise that this one has been a little bit of a dull live stream, so I'll try and make the next one better. Always trying to make the next one better. Excuse me. Wonderful. You will figure this out. I appreciate your confidence in me. I sure hope I do. Yeah. It would fill me with joy to get another Mac II going. I mean, the more I save, the better. Thank you for all of the super chats. Thank you for the likes, the thumbs ups. And I think that's probably it. I hope to see you at the next one. I am actually this afternoon going to go and work on the ultrasonic video. You never know, I might actually get it out one day. Woo! Yeah, so thanks again, folks, and I will hopefully see you at the next one. So, bye now.